Welcome to the Golden Nuggets. This podcast is brought to you by WordPress. Ever wonder why some websites always pop up first? That's SEO magic at work. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And if your website isn't up there, you're missing out big time. Here's the deal. Every day your website stays hidden is the day your competitors grab your customers. It's not just about being online, it's about being seen. At WordPress, we turn your website from invisible to irresistible. Simple, effective SEO that gets you noticed, gets you customers, and gets you ahead. Don't let your website be the internet's best kept secret. Make it a customer magnet. Ready to be found? Visit wordpress.com/search. Let's make your website the star of the show this year. Don't miss out.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Golden Nuggets podcast. We are still with Joel.
Yeah. All right, Joel. So just now you shared what was the main inspiration on why you eventually started Broadway musical theatre musical.
Musical
right?
theatre.
So can you share with us your journey after your NTU days? Like, how do you eventually get into musical theatre in Singapore?
Yeah, sure. So after I graduated, actually, before I graduated from NTU,
Okay.
I came across this course in New York. So it's like a summer course. It's a 1-month musical theatre course in New York City. And I was like, okay, you know what the hell? Let me just apply for it and see what happens.
Yep.
So I recorded my audition tapes. I sent it over. The next thing I knew, I got in.
Oh, okay. So that was like within how fast was their response?
I think within a month.
Wow, okay.
Oh, my.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then I was like, I need to tell my parents how. so I had a talk with my parents, and I told my mom and dad, mommy, daddy, okay, so you know that I've always loved music and singing and performing. I've graduated. I have a degree in psychology now. I am the valedictorian. So can I do what I want? I want to go study musical theatre.
Okay.
And they were like, what? But yeah, so it was, I had to convince my parents. Yeah,
Okay.
so and after that, I wrote a letter to them. I told them that, give me 5 years to try something different. And if it doesn't work out,
Hold on, you wrote a letter to who? To your
my parents, yeah.
Oh, okay.
because at the time, it was kind of hard to communicate. Yeah, you know how sometimes parents, they have their own point of view. Even after you try talking to them, it's still not going across. So
Yeah.
for me, the next best thing I could do was to write a letter.
Okay.
At
One-way
least-
message, right?
Yeah. No, at least for them to take their time to read and to reflect. I think certain information needs time to be digested and to be accepted.
What
Yeah.
what gave you the inspiration to actually write them that letter? Like, who tell you to actually do this?
Oh, wow. No one. I just felt that, since I can't talk, then I just write.
Okay.
I'm not being heard.
Yeah,
I shall write.
Yeah, that's another way of expressing
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and my parents agreed, and my dad, he provided me financially to go to New York for a month. It wasn't cheap, but yeah, I was like, okay, come, let's go.
How much do you need to spend there?
I can't remember, but I think the overall tuition fees, accommodation, food, everything adds up to 10 plus K for a
Wait,
month.
there's tuition fee for the 1 month.
Yeah, you need to pay what? You need to pay money to learn, right? It's not a free course, okay?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but that was the most amazing experience in my life. Yeah.
I mean, Broadway, where can you go wrong, right?
I know. We had teachers who were performers on Broadway. So in a day, they would come and teach us. At night, they would go back and they'll perform. And I remember that we had this teacher. He was on the Book of Mormon,
okay.
and he brought us around, and we went on stage of Book of Mormon. And that was amazing, standing on stage. And then when you're on stage, you're just looking at the audience.
Yep.
And then you're just taking it all in, and the set and everything. I was like, wow. I told myself one day I am going to stay on a stage like this and performing to everybody.
Do you get to be extras? in that 1 month?
Oh no! I mean, so usually what happens was like in a day, like from morning till evening, we have classes. We have acting class, we have singing, we have dance class, and then at night, I would drag my bag and then I would run all the way across a few streets down to Broadway and get tickets to catch a show. Yeah, and I would watch shows at night. By the time I get back to my accommodation, it would be like almost 12 midnight.
So your teachers who were Broadway performers, they don't let you in for free?
No, it's still a business.
All right. Okay. So what happens after that 1 month?
So after that 1 month, I actually wanted to stay on there. I wanted to sign up for a 1-year course.
Okay.
You
Cost too much.
Yeah, the finances, didn't allow, and I had to come back to Singapore. So I took a gap year. After that, I went for my own acting classes. I went for singing class, dancing class, just in my own capacity, trying to learn and skill out myself. And the next thing I did was to apply to LASALLE in Singapore because that is the only school in the region that has musical theatre. And then I got in.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that means after you've completed your degree, you still went back to LASALLE.
So I have 2 degrees. I study a lot.
Okay. And how were you financing yourself during that time? During that gap year and also when you're in LASALLE?
Wow. That's a very good question. So I guess I'm very fortunate. My parents, they really supported me. So during the gap year, even though I wasn't working, I was still having the usual allowance from my parents.
Okay.
And obviously I try not to spend so much lah.
Yep.
I mean, the things I would spend on would probably just classes. That's all. Yeah. And then when I applied to LASALLE for musical theatre, my dad also financed the course for the 3-year degree program.
I
So
see.
in that way, I mean, I'm always very. I'm gonna cry. I never told my parents this, but
It's okay. Just share with the audience, and perhaps you can also share this video to them instead of the letter, right?
yeah. I'm always very grateful for my parents for providing, even though they might not understand what I do, even though they might not even agree with the things that I do, but they are always silently providing and making sure that I get the best education or get the best training that I could receive. Yeah, so thank you, Mommy and Daddy.
Oh, now I feel like crying also. Yeah.
Don't. I'm not gonna pan the camera at me anymore, lah.
All right. So 3 years in LASALLE.
Yeah.
What do you gain out of that?
Wow. That was a horrible, terrible experience.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Why?
What happened?
For a student who has straight A's throughout in their life
yeah.
and being a valedictorian, the performing arts was something that, I mean, I was academically doing very well, but going into performing arts was a whole new world. A whole new world.
Wow, showing off his singing skills.
Yeah. But yeah, so and it was difficult. In my first year, in my first semester in LASALLE, in my first month actually, I lost 10 kg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Stress, anxiety, and a lot of things to do. And I was also, stepping into this totally new and different world. I had no literature background. So when my teachers were talking about different classics, I was like, okay, I know them, like Shakespeare, I know them, but I don't really know them. So it was scary. It was scary, and I was asking myself, what on earth did I get myself into? Right? I was doing so well in psychology. What on earth did I get myself into? And I remember that in my acting class in my first semester, my teacher, he told the whole class, he said, if you want to know how a bad actor looks like or is, just look at Joel.
Wow.
And my heart
that
just
is
shattered.
in your first month.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure it affected you greatly in the 3 years, right? Like, how do you move on from that? I know you studied like psychology, but how do you actually move on from that?
So, for me, I am a fighter. The more you provoke me, the more I will prove you wrong. Yeah. But then at the same time, his words really, hit me in my heart, and it caused me to reflect, because I knew that I was struggling. I knew that I was struggling to act. I was struggling to step into the shoes and the role of the character. And I was also questioning myself, what is going on? What is happening? Why am I not allowing myself, to be that character? And the wonderful thing about LASALLE is, we have so much training. There's voice, there's speech, there's body training as well, physical training. And it was one of those trainings that it suddenly struck me that I had all these very rigid ideas about myself, who I think I should be, how I should behave, that these ideas I am transferring them over to my character. And how my character should behave, how my character should speak. And all these, they were affecting me in how I react, how my character was reacting, how my character was responding and communicating. So even though I was saying the words on text, on the script, my teachers would always say, "Joel, I don't understand what you're saying."
Oh.
It's not because they don't understand the articulation of words, but it's because they don't understand the intention behind those words. So as an actor, you need to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and communication is so important, because if you don't make sense of your words, your fellow actors don't get it, your audience wouldn't get it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was my time in LaSalle. As horrible as it was, it allowed me to reflect. It allowed me to look at myself. It allowed me to really just take myself apart, one piece at a time, and really examine those pieces. And then after that, slowly put them together again. Yeah. So I think that also helps me. That helped me to be who I am today, in terms of my communication with people, in terms of when I'm teaching and coaching as well, making sure that, as people, it's actually very easy to fall into a certain pattern. When we communicate to. Sometimes it can be kind of robotic. I'm not sure if you have seen maybe videos on YouTube or those ads that pop up, once in a while. You notice that the way they speak,
Yes.
there's a certain tone, there's a certain cadence
Like it
to
can
it.
also feel too scripted.
Yeah, it feels scripted, and that is not authentic.
Yeah.
And to me, that is not effective communication. Because effective communication, it should bring out who you are, and your message should touch the hearts of the audience. And if the moment I hear your voice, I know that you're speaking in a certain way because it's scripted, I know that it's fake. And then I wouldn't buy into what you're saying. And I think this is something that I've observed in the past few years, as more people are doing their own videos. How can you sound authentic without being overly rehearsed or scripted?
Yes.
Rehearsals are important, don't get me wrong. As an actor, rehearsals are so important, because we need to get our lines down, we need to get our blocking right.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, how can you still be natural with thousand rehearsals?
Yes.
How can you still make everything seem so new and natural for the audience and for yourself as well?
We backtrack a little bit to the point where your lecturer actually says that to you. At that point of time, does it ever cross your mind that, hey, why are you saying this to me when I got accepted from, this class in Broadway, Have that ever crossed your mind, and have that ever maybe give you that extra energy to perhaps perform better, because that someone in Broadway actually sees something in you, but your lecturer does not?
Actually, no.
You don't have an ounce of hatred or anger or this guy knows shit. Yeah.
Because deep down in my heart, I knew he was right. It's he's demonstrating tough love.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was sharp and very astute in picking up. Yeah, I mean, he comes from a different generation. He's much older, where they are not afraid to say things that based on what they see. Yeah, so I knew he was right, and I knew that it was something that I had to resolve for myself. I had to find out, I had to discover, I had to learn. Yeah.
And how does your background in psychology help you do that for yourself?
Your question just caught him off guard.
Yeah.
Okay, so why I'm asking this is because not many people have the background that you have. And if they were to put in the same situation as you, they may not be able to break out, and like you mentioned, you break yourself pieces by pieces to actually reflect and to build yourself better, right? They may not have that background to know that, okay, this is what must be done to eventually be someone better in the future.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know what I had to do either.
Okay.
But I would say that it is the training in LASALLE that allowed me to slowly shed off pieces of myself that didn't serve me. Yeah. But then, and it was during that process that I realized, oh, okay, psychologically, this is what's happening. This is how my body was reacting. And my body was, still having memories of certain past experiences growing up that I haven't quite processed it yet. And then I think, the classes in LASALLE, there were time and space for me to process those experiences. So I'm also really grateful to a number of teachers over there who allowed me to be vulnerable. I think growing up, from young till then, in Singapore and striving to be a top A student, I didn't allow myself to be vulnerable. And as a communicator, as an actor, as a performer, you need to allow yourself to be open, to be vulnerable. And I'm not saying that you need to cry everywhere you go, but just, speak from your heart and communicate from your heart. And that is and I think that my time in LASALLE allowed me to tune in to myself and my heart. Yeah.
Okay. So does your training in LASALLE, or perhaps the lectures that you have in LASALLE, open doors for you when you graduate, or do you have to go through the grind yourself?
Both. I mean, the wonderful thing about LASALLE is that they always have like showcases, for the graduating year, and then they would invite industry players to come and watch.
Okay.
So people in the industry, they would know, who they would like to maybe approach to ask for audition and so on and so forth. So it kind of helps with the networking. But at the same time, I also had to constantly send out my CV, to resume to different companies, production companies, and just to let people know that, okay, who I am, what I can do, and I had to go for, casting all the time. And it was really, really tiring. Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you actually, or how long were you doing musical theatre and also acting before you eventually start your own coaching program?
Wow. So I graduated in 2017 from LASALLE. After that, I was doing theatre, commercials, TV stuff, for good 3 years.
Okay.
And then, with COVID came, everything shifted. Performances all stopped. So I had to pivot as well. I went into teaching. I was teaching singing online.
Okay.
And then at that point in time, I was like, oh, okay. Teaching singing online is actually kind of fun as well. And seeing how my students have breakthrough in their voice, that's very fulfilling, as a person, as a teacher. Yeah, so I was doing that, and then after that COVID resumed, I was back in theatre, and I was just juggling different plates,
Okay.
teaching, coaching, acting, performing. But what I realized for myself was that I wanted to spend my time more effectively. Our time and energy is limited.
Yes.
How can we make the best use out of it? And back when I was younger, for me, theatre was a great way. It was a great way for me to be in touch with myself, my emotions. It was a great way for me to express. It was a great way for me to impact audience, helping them to reflect on different issues, getting them to resonate with the story, and so on and so forth. But then as I went through that last year, I was like, I wanted to have a more direct impact on the people that on people. Yeah. So that kind of made me question on whether acting is still
Something you want to continue?
or rather whether acting is still a tool that I wish to create impact, or is there a better tool out there? So teaching and coaching became the thing for me. That as I teach, as I coach, I have a direct impact on my clients. I could see them breaking through. I could guide them along. I could help them and empower them. And the transformation, it's immediate. Yeah. So for me, that gives me that fuels me in what I do right now.
You feel like that's more fulfilling?
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Do you have any question?
Not right now. Not at the top of my mind.
Okay. We'll take a break for part 2, and then we'll continue with part 3 soon.
Sure. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for part 3. See ya.